I have watches for diving that do depth and time, and I have watches to be worn with a tuxedo. I have a watch that tells me the tide times when I want to go surfing, and I have a Fitbit that monitors my health vitals and counts my steps for me. I also have a watch for hiking that has a built-in compass and an altimeter and a barometer. And of course I have a wrist-mounted recreational dive computer, and I have a wrist-mounted technical dive computer. Or wouldn't it be fantastic if I had one wrist-mounted device that could cover all those other watches? Wouldn't that make it the greatest dive computer the world has ever seen? Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, and welcome to Divers Ready. My name's James. It is so great to see all of your smiling faces. If you're new to our channel, make your next dive on our subscribe button and click that little bell icon, because we make videos here at Divers Ready with one simple goal in mind, and that's to help make you a better scuba diver. This is it, guys. We're here. This is the hotly anticipated and much requested Divers Ready review of the Garmin Descent Mk2. I want to say thank you so much to Garmin, who didn't just send me one Garmin Descent Mk2 to review, but if you follow us on Instagram, you'll know they actually sent us 3. So that means one for me, one for my wife Karina, and one for, well, one of you lucky lot, obviously. So stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll let you know how you can enter to win this Garmin Descent Mk2. I hope you guys had as much fun watching that juicy intro B-roll sequence as I did making it. I really took to heart your comments regarding the Shearwater Teric review that we dropped a couple of months ago about wanting to see more underwater shots of the computer screen. Let me know in the comments below, how did I do? Was that enough? Was it too much? There are a few more to come later in this video as well. The biggest trouble that I had when trying to decide how to review this dive computer is, what do you compare it to? This is a Trimix capable, CCR capable, wrist-mounted watch-style dive computer that does 1,000 things that no other dive computer does. The ambition of this piece of kit is enormous. It's hard to wrap your head around. I keep finding things, oh my god, it does that as well. You know, how do I compare that and how do I bring it to you guys in a relative way? So I need to be absolutely clear about what this video is going to contain. I'm going to tell you 9 things I absolutely love about the Garmin Descent Mk2. I'm going to tell you how I think that it compares to what would be conceivably its closest dive computer rival, and then I'm going to tell you why that comparison doesn't work anyway. I'm going to tell you a few things that I didn't particularly care for about the Garmin Descent Mk2, and then we'll get into the competition and the giveaway. I will not be reviewing in this video the Garmin Descent Mk2i as a technical diving computer. That is going to have to be a whole separate video, and it's probably not going to get to you guys until next year now, probably January. So before you guys all start in the comments here, but I heard the OTUs don't reset, and you're just going to have to like pump the brakes on that one and wait. I will get a full tech review out next month, basically. All right, here are the 9 things I absolutely love about the Garmin Descent Mk2i. Number 1, complex information presented simply. The menu system is clear, it's intuitive. If you dive it in single gas mode, for example, you have 4 dive information screens that you can scroll through. But on each one of those 4 screens is still your no decompression limit and your depth, the 2 pieces of information you always need at hand. And all the other information is clear and precisely laid out. This may be more dive computer than the average newbie diver needs, but I can promise you 2 things. Even if you are the newest diver, it is super easy to learn and very quick to get comfortable with. And number 2 is, it's got CCR, it's got Trimix. You're not going to outgrow it, I promise you that. It is as close to future-proofing as you can get. Number 2, the Buddy Tank Transmitter System. More on the Descent T1 transmitter a little bit later on, but let me just say, as an instructor, having my students' tank pressure on my dive computer displayed right next to my tank pressure gave me a peace of mind underwater that I had never previously experienced. Dive professionals, let me talk to you directly. This is life affirming. To be able to screw a transmitter into your client's second HP port of their first stage and always know that during the dive as you're guiding them around, they can't tell you porky pies about how much gas they have remaining. I mean, and the range in my admittedly amateurish test, I had it to about 50 or 60 feet away and still had a really, really strong connection. The third thing I love about the Garmin Descent Mk2 is just how highly customizable it is. Now, when other dive computers say, oh, we're customizable, what they really mean is you can change the colors of the numbers. And now I just want to tussle their fringe and have them draw it out for me on crayon so I can put it on my fridge with a magnet. No. When the Garmin Descent Mk2 says that it's customizable, it means you can really set this computer up exactly the way you want it. Now, it takes a little bit of time of going through the manuals and going through all the settings and getting things just the way you like it, but you can customize everything, not just your gas mixes and your conservatism, but what the buttons do and how your heart rate is monitored, and it's mind-blowing. I can't even get into all of it now, but once you've set it up and you've got it the way you like it, it's personalized, it's yours, it is now your dive computer. Fantastic. The fourth thing I love about the Garmin Descent Mk2i is the battery life. Phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal. And you guys know I'm not a big fan of rechargeable computers. I normally prefer user-changeable batteries. But I gotta be honest, 16 days of battery life under normal use is pretty damn good. And then I did a series of 4 days of 4 dives a day using the transmitter, and I still had 2 days of battery life for normal use left in the juice. And not only is the battery life fantastic, but it also charges incredibly fast. Let me give you this as an example. I plugged my computer into the cigarette charger in my truck, so low voltage, plugged it in, and I had 63% of battery life. I drove the 1 hour it takes for me to get from my house to Key Largo, and by the time I arrived, it was fully charged. The fifth thing that I love about the Descent Mk2 is the weight. The other day I was on a boat and a guy had a Mark 1, so I held them up side by side and measured them, and they are almost identical. The screen and display is larger on the Mark 2, but the actual case itself is basically the same size. But because the Mark 2 is machined, or the Mk2i is machined out of titanium, even though it's quite large and quite chunky, it's incredibly light, especially when paired with the titanium strap. Which brings me to point number 6, the interchangeable straps. Now, a lot of dive computers out there have the same rubber strap in a bunch of different colors so you can swap them out, and that's cute. Garmin have a whole range of different materials, from fabric to leather to titanium to stainless steel, yes, rubber, silicone in a whole bunch of different colors, and the way you change them out, if you're not familiar, is incredibly simple. So you can change up the look of your computer. Now, the body of the computer design, I love. I love the little blue accents, I love the brushed titanium finish, it's very Blade Runner, and I love that you can customize the face to whatever you want it to be. I took a trip to my Garmin store, stocked up on a whole bunch of straps. That's another thing, by the way, an actual Garmin store close to my house, storefront presence in a major mall, not some dodgy on the edge of town strip mall, but an actual store. And I made a few purchases to change the look and feel of my computer. I found that I get the most compliments when I change out the rubber strap for the leather one. But I also like that included with any of the Mark II computers is the longer strap in case you dive a dry suit. The seventh thing that I love about the Garmin Descent Mark II is the app, the dive log. You're coming up the ladder up the boat after a dive, and before you've sat down and got out of your gear, your watch has already paired to your phone, which is in a dry box that you left on the boat, and updated your app with the dive that you just did. So you can take your phone instantly and go through the profile of your dive. And the interface in the app is clean, it's crispy, it's absolutely beautiful. It is convenience and simplification perfected. Number 8 is all the 9 million other things it does beside being a kick-ass dive computer. Are you kidding me? This is a dive computer that can update you on your text messages, track your dog, pay for your groceries, play your music, count your paddle strokes if you're kayaking, knows if you're swimming in a swimming pool or in open water, and tell you where your car is parked. Name another dive computer that can do all those things. That is insane. Listen, I've never been a smartwatch guy. I never owned an Apple Watch or any other kind of smart device. I do have a Fitbit, but that doesn't do anything else really. It just counts steps and heart rate, and this does more than I ever knew that I needed it to do. And it's an amazing dive computer. My mind is truly blown, and maybe I'm behind the times on this. I didn't have the Mark I, like I said, but it's new to me, and if you're just thinking about switching to Garmin, it's gonna blow you away, like unbelievable. Now, I did say that there are 9 things that I love about the Garmin Descent Mark II, and there are 9 things, but I'm gonna say the 9th one to the end of the video to finish on something sweet, because it's really a big deal. To me personally, it's a big deal. So stay tuned for that, but for now, this. We need to talk about how the Garmin Descent Mark II stacks up against what online has been described as its closest competitor, which is the Shearwater Teric. And there's going to be loyalists. I'm one of them that says, you know, Shearwater's build quality can't be rivaled. Well, yeah, but what about Garmin's build quality? It's also very, very good. So there's that, and the biggest thing that Teric had over the Mark I was of course air integration, and now the Descent Mk2i has closed that gap. So now you're dealing with really specific things like, for example, okay, how do the algorithms match up? They're identical. They both run Bullman ZHL 16C linear algorithms, Neo-Haldanian algorithms. They both have customizable gradient factors and a whole host of other recreational level tweaks that you can do to the conservatism. And when I ran for one dive my Garmin Descent on one wrist and my Shearwater Teric on the other with the same gradient factors, they gave me identical dive profiles times everything. So I couldn't pick them apart. Therefore, if they're identical in that matter, you need to be able to compare them in some other way. And for the sakes of the customizable nature of the Garmin Descent Mark II, and I know people are going to be out there, yeah, but you can get like 7 different colored strips for the Teric. Yeah, I don't, you know, you're missing the point. And the smartwatch capability, the Garmin Descent wins hands down. The only reason to choose the Teric over the Garmin Descent is the screen. The screen on the Teric is by far a brighter, clearer, cleaner screen, and the trade-off there is battery life, because the battery life on the Teric is notoriously not brilliant, whereas the battery life on this is fantastic. I didn't have a problem reading the screen on this. I think it looks pretty crisp in the videos I'm showing you guys. It does have a backlight which you can bring up if you need it, but I never needed it. When I want to check the time or check a notification, it's very clear and easy to read. So for that trade-off of brightness versus battery life, I choose battery life. So again, the Garmin Descent Mk2 wins that one. Price-wise, well, that's another separator. If you went the Teric with transmitter route, you'd be looking at $1,445 in the United States. If you go with the Garmin Descent Mk2i and their transmitter, you're looking at $1,898. But for that 450 and change dollars, you're getting an Apple iWatch and a Fitbit and a golf rangefinder and a GPS device. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. So if you're going to use those functions, you might as well go the whole hog and go with the Garmin Descent. If you're not at all, go with the Teric. Now we've come to the point in the review where I need to go over a couple of things I didn't particularly care for about the Garmin Descent Mk2i. And first and foremost, we're going to talk about this little guy right here, the Descent T1 transmitter. Now, don't get me wrong, it paired flawlessly, a hell of a lot better than a lot of other transmitters that I've used. Installing it wasn't too tricky, although I will say this, on my first stage, I had trouble getting a traditional wrench between the housing of the transmitter and the first stage of the regulator to tighten it up, and it specifically says in the instructions, don't use the transmitter as a grip to tighten. So luckily I found an old IKEA wrench that is super slim and I could fit in there, and I don't think it would kill Garmin to supply a 5-cent tool like that for installing this $400 transmitter. But apart from that, I had no trouble there. It paired flawlessly and everything was going great until I got it in the water, and I realized that being based on sonar, you're gonna have noise. Obvious when you say it out loud, really, isn't it? But this transmitter emits what I would describe as a chirp, a high-pitched beeping noise, every 4 seconds, for half a second, all dive long. And I didn't like that very much. Now, I understand that Garmin decided to go with sonar over RF radio frequency because it increases the range, but that beeping noise has got to go. So is it not possible that it could emit a sound frequency that human beings can't detect? I mean, just drive the sea dogs crazy? I don't know, but definitely it needs to sort of change. I did write to Garmin about the beeping noise because I was like, hey, is this normal? How do I turn it off? And they replied, allow me to read their response actually. They said, the sound is normal and how the sonar system communicates. Thank you, Garmin, I know how sonar works. The perception of this noise varies greatly depending on where the transmitter is positioned and what power level the transmitter is set to. Well, I had it set to the lowest power level and I tried it in both HP ports that my first stage regulator has, both sides, with and without a 6-inch high pressure hose, and it constantly made noise. So yeah, a small change in position can drastically change how that chirp is heard underwater. No, it can't. You can reduce the volume of the chirp by changing the power setting on the transmitter by going into the transmitter settings and choosing your T1 and adjusting the power level down. Didn't work. I had it on the lowest power level setting and I could still hear the chirp all dive. So that put me in an annoying position of having to decide how much do I like having my students and my tank pressure all on my computer, and therefore would I rather buy the Descent Mk2i or save a couple of $100 and buy the Mk2? I've never been that big on transmitters anyway. We don't use them in technical diving. Yeah, really right now the difference between the Mk2i and the Mk2 for me is the finish, which brings me to my next point. The finish on this watch is very, very soft, and I've already dinged it a couple of times. It's got a few scratches on there. It's got a couple of scratches on the buckle on my standard issue black rubber watch strap. And that's not good, because it should be hardened and anodized and be able to take a little bit of knock around. I don't even remember when it happened that I managed to knock it enough to scratch it, but it's not looking great anymore. It doesn't look brand new. So that finish definitely needs an improvement, because you can see the titanium coming through underneath this kind of graphite paint that they've put over the top of it. The last thing I would bring up on the could be improved upon column are the buttons. Not that I had any problem with them. They're very, very sensitive and very easy to use, even with wetsuit gloves on. Perhaps too easy. Now, I know you either complain that the button is too hard to push or too easy to push. In this case, it's definitely too easy, because there's been a number of times, even above water, where I've knocked the watch into dive mode just by bending my hand back. And that's not brilliant, because obviously it decreases battery life, but hey ho, I mean, if that's the worst of it, still a damn good computer. So I said at the beginning that there were 9 things that I love about this dive computer, and here's the 9th. It's that Garmin are not a dive company. Now that sounds weird to say when you're reviewing a dive computer, but they're not. They're a GPS company, and they've been doing what they do for years before the Mark 1 came along, and they made improvements on the Mark 1, and now here we are with the Mark 2, and it's phenomenal. But they are the first non-scuba based company to bring a product to market that will revolutionize the diver's lifestyle both in and out of the water. They are the first company to acknowledge that we are outdoor enthusiasts and people with busy lives who also happen to be divers. And that's phenomenal for a number of reasons. Number one, we tend to be a very inward facing community, and by extension industry. We think that all people do are diving, and all they think about is diving, and that's certainly true on this channel, and that's how I make my bread and butter. So yeah, I get that viewpoint, but you're not. You're not just a diver. You paddle, you surf, you're busy, you check notifications, you walk your dog, you count your steps, you monitor your health vitals, you enjoy hiking in the outdoors and the national parks, and you check the weather before you go outside. And there's so many more parts to every diver that I know than just being a diver. And it's something that I don't really feel any scuba manufacturer fully appreciates. And here comes a company from outside of scuba diving who are used to making products for outdoors people, and they've completely blown me away with a fantastic piece of dive kit. And that deserves to be applauded. So that then brings me to, who do I think the Garmin Descent Mk2i is best suited for? Something that I like to do for every product I review. The honest answer is, if you're just buying this for a dive computer and you're not going to use it for anything else, there are better, cheaper options. This is $1,500 in the US, and to just use this as a dive computer would feel kind of wasteful. But if you're that person I'm describing who has many more outdoor activities, including diving, then this is an absolute beast. And even if you were buying this at open water level diver, you're not going to outgrow it, because it goes all the way through to trimix. So that means that it will grow with you, and also along the way keep you healthy, dress it up, wear it to the office, count your steps with it, all the other phenomenal things that it does. It's an absolute beast. I can't see myself taking this off my wrist anytime soon. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my first thoughts about the Garmin Descent Mk2 computer, and now it's prize giveaway time. So to enter the contest to win this Garmin Descent Mk2 phenomenal piece of kit, courtesy of the good people at Garmin, I want you to do 3 things. Number 1, subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, because I really appreciate the support. Number 2, let me know in the comments below what winning this dive computer would do for your diving. And number 3, officially enter the competition through the link in the description below, entering your name and email address, so that if you're lucky enough to win, I can contact you. We're going to draw the winner on Christmas Eve to really make somebody's Christmas. So 24th of December, I will announce the winner on the Divers Ready Instagram, and if you want to make sure that you don't miss that announcement, in case it's you, make sure you follow us on Instagram, link also in the description of this video below. I hope you enjoyed this. There will be more videos on the Garmin Descent Mk2 coming up, particularly one specifically aimed at technical divers, of course, like I'm not going to do that. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, my name's James. This was your Divers Ready review of the Garmin Descent Mk2. Till next time, dive safe, dive often.